Hi guys, yep, you all know who I am. I'm just quickly going to go through a sheet, explain exactly what's happening this weekend on this wonderful club maintenance day that's set to become an annual feature. A load of you are going to have various jobs to do within the boathouse and around the boathouse, the clubhouse premises. For those of you that are actually doing work and have allocated boats to look after, I'm just going to go through a few little bits and bobs to show you exactly what we need to be looking for to make sure everything is in shape. So you'll each be given one piece of paper per boat. Pretty straightforward. I want you to write the boat name and the boat number. The boat number is written on the side. EXE101 is this boat. And then there's a series of lists of different things. For example, thumb screws, split washers. I need you to bring this sheet back to me at the end of the day with a tick in every single box. And you'll see at the bottom here, the very last thing to look into is washed with soap and T-cut. So every single boat is going to be washed properly inside and out and T-cut. Okay? So going through the list, a lot of it is pretty straightforward, but I want to go through a bit at a time. So if we start down here on the foot stretcher section, pretty straightforward really. As you can see, looking at this boat, and this is exactly how we found it. I don't know if you want to come a little bit closer in. So we have a thumb screw here on the right that's actually loose, okay? And on the left we have a wing nut, okay? A very tight wing nut, okay? And down at the bottom, another wing nut. We want every single boat, ideally, to have three thumb screws or 3 wing nuts, okay? And obviously on the foot stretcher here, we have wing nuts as well. There are no washers on any of these parts. The way it needs to be left is pretty straightforward. So here we have a normal flat washer and a spring washer. The best way to put these on the boats to keep the boat in the best condition possible is to remove the thumb screw, try not to lose it in the boat. Flat washer goes on top like that, followed by a spring washer. And there will be hundreds of these washers floating around this weekend. We are buying them all as we speak. By having that there, not only do you get a very, very strong tight fix that will be almost impossible to shake loose, but also it's very easy to loosen off again, okay? You don't have to get pliers out or anything to loosen that off, and it's not a job of getting someone to try and loosen it when you're on the water. So that fixing there, these 2 fixings here, and the fixing down the bottom, all 5 of those fixings need to have this set up. That's how it's all going to be left. So whilst we're talking about the foot restraint, the shoes on the foot restraint, we just want to make sure that the foot restraints are the correct amount. Now the British rowing legislation keeps changing for this, but you want to basically make sure that the shoe is like the left-hand shoe here. There's about 7 or 8-ish centimeters of movement. So when you pull the shoe up, it does stop it. It's basically there as a sort of a safety feature that if you capsize, your feet will fall out. Okay. This one on the right is a bit more loose. You can do this with all sorts of different ways. These ones have actually got bits of leather and string, but they've tied bits of string to it, so it may be worth completely replacing that for string. So the next thing on the list is the seat and the slide. As we can see here, there's a few things, and this is exactly how we found it. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to remove the seat. Okay, that one comes off really easily. If you haven't done this before, in fact I'll show you again, the best way to do it is to, and it's got an undercarriage on it, is to pull the undercarriage to the very end like that, pull it up, and it should slide off, okay? In terms of putting it back on, you do it in reverse. So you pull that to the back of the slide, loop on, it should slide on. Now this boat, actually, the way we found it, as you can see, it's quite loose anyway, we'll get to that in a minute, so it actually comes off easy as it needs to. Now these are basically wheels that basically push on. You'll find that some screw. And what you'll see here is you've basically got a clip on this boat that's loose. So we need to make sure that these bits are all popped in, which will keep the carriage nice and tight on there. And also check for bits like this. Now that's bent, which could be causing a tiny bit of friction. If it doesn't work properly, come and find me. I'll be floating around and I can fix that for you, okay? These wheels obviously will always stay tight, but there are some with Allen keys, so just check they're tight. And in terms of the screws, you'll see the screws for these bits of kit there, there, and there. And what you might find is the seat is coming away from the slides. So we need to replace those screws. If you look at my hands, they're absolutely covered in crap because this hasn't been cleaned properly in a while. So we need to make sure that it is cleaned properly, okay? Right, so going on to the next part on our list, we've looked at the wheels are tight. screws in the seat. Now we need to get the slide bolts. Now this is a prime example of something I regularly find in this club, is these slides are loose. Okay, now this boat has probably been rowed with a loose slide. It's a really straightforward civil fix. If you're under your hatch, if you put your hand in here, you'll find a little metal bit sticking out. In fact, if you look under there, you can almost effectively see it right away. That goes through the boat, and on the other side of that, you need a washer and a wing nut, okay? Which looks just like these two. So the washer goes on there first, followed by the wing nut. It's quite fiddly, so I'm not going to do it straight away. These need a good clean, and what I also want you to do is I want you to take all 4 of these off. So undo all 4 bolts, lift them off, clean the slide, clean underneath, dry it off, and then put them back down. Now you'll see on the list it also talks about slide wedges, a wedge. Some of the boats will have a piece of wood that starts off very narrow at that end and gets very big at this end. When you put them back, you need to make sure the big end is at this side and not at that side, like a boat that I found the other day, because actually you'll effectively be going uphill, okay? So make sure it's that way around. Give it a good clean and put it back together. Okay, so finally moving on to the riggers. This is an interesting one because this boat hasn't actually got any backstays. Okay, this boat is going to stay with not having any backstays. I want you to thoroughly check all the backstays that they're not loose, they are tight, and they're not forcing the pin backwards. Okay, that's the first thing on our list. We also want to make sure that all the riggers have bolts. Now, ideally, you can put a spring losher on this as well as a flat one, but ideally a flat one. And if you find yourself with a rigger that is corroding a lot, rather than just putting a little washer on it, go and find a big washer. We will have loads of these at the back of the boathouse on the day because I'm going to buy loads of them. So we need to make sure there's 1 bolt and a washer there, and then 2 bolts, 2 washers here. As you can see, the bottom one on here hasn't got a washer, so that will need one. Okay, moving forward to the slide swivel gate, another prime example. We found a boat like this. Rowing like that is not going to be particularly brilliant, okay? And actually looking at it, it's a bit all over the place. That may be because the riggers are bent, I don't know, but I can potentially check that for you. So we need to get some more of these plastic things, which we have got. We found some earlier on, especially for this. And these basically slide on here. So you want to make sure that when you pop these on here, there is no movement on the gates. These are actually in place to keep to adjust to the height of the swivel or gate. Okay, so now you can see I'll move that up and down, and it's not going anywhere. Also, just make sure that all these bolts are tight, and just check all these bits. There's nothing loose. There's nothing really rusty that's stopping it from working correctly. Cool. So just the last thing to look at. Obviously, this is a single, so it hasn't got a rudder. We want to check both the fin is straight, pretty easy to do this. Get to the end of the boat, have a look down. If it looks bent, let us know. Same for the rudder, particularly the old Yanasak rudders you'll see on these boats. If they're bent, let me know because we need to replace that or at least get it looked at, get it re-bent back, okay? And also for the Yanasaks, the rudder wire is really loose and doesn't appear to be doing very much, or all these fixings are rusty, or there's just one of them, like this boat. We need to change that and make sure that there's 2 on every single boat, so we are using a nice, safe boat there.